for Hurricane Nana. Belize is under a hurricane watch tonight, and we'll tell you how much time you have to get your family emergency plan in place. In San Pedro, the lockdown ends. We'll show you the first boat off the island and tell you what measures were taken. Also, 2 murders of young men to report tonight, one in Cayo and one in Orange Walk. Plus a neat story about the legend of a lighthouse keeper. You'll hear about the time Lester Garbutt stood up to the President of Guatemala. We've got details of these and other stories in our newscast for tonight, Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indra Craig.
Now is the time to sign up for the best postpaid plans in the country, because Digi has doubled the data in all their plans. Now you can get even more done, connect even more, stream even more, create even more, and share even more. All on the fastest mobile network that gives you the most coverage nationwide. Now is the time to go postpaid with plans starting as low as $49 monthly. Shared plans are also available, all with unlimited talk and text. So don't wait. Hurry over to your nearest Digi store to sign up today. Enjoy double the data in all postpaid plans only with Digi.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Rowe Group company.
Grandpa, I want crystal water, please. Can I please get 1 crystal water, please?
Okay, dear.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It pleases your heart, knowing she will grow up drinking the brand you have always trusted. It gives you peace of mind. Crystal water. Taste you can trust.
I am Ronald, lineman lead hand at BL. We are an essential service and we are doing everything we can to make sure that we keep the lights on for our customers.
I work outdoors and my job is to provide safe and reliable power.
Our teams continue to serve communities across Belize.
Meals are better at home with Coca-Cola. Collect 2 golden caps of Coca-Cola, Fanta, or Sprite 1.5 liter with the word WIN, and 1 golden cap with the word microwave, or 1 with the word Oster, and you can win a microwave oven or Oster pots and pans. You'll also receive a free kitchen utensil with all 1.5 liter twin pack purchases. You can collect all 4 utensils. Visit www.coca-cola.com.
Border jumping is illegal, and puts our entire nation at risk. Our neighbors, Guatemala and Mexico, are experiencing rapidly increasing numbers of COVID-19 cases, and there are more deaths every day. Persons entering Belize illegally from these hotspot countries are not being tested for COVID-19. That's why it is important to report anyone entering Belize illegally by calling our hotlines. Smart users call 0800 Jumpers or 0800 Borders. For Digi, call 0800 SAVE BZE. Condoning or engaging in border jumping is putting yourself, your family, and the entire country at risk. Remember, anyone caught will be fined up to $5,000 and or imprisoned for 2 years. Stop border jumping now. This message is brought to you by the Belize Police Department and the Belize Bank.
I'm Chef Sean Quillen, and I got a nice surprise for you today.
Take your cooking skills to a whole new level with Glazed Out, TNC's first ever cooking show with culinary expert Chef Sean Quillen. Tune in every week for exciting Belizean cuisine and some of Belize's biggest names in culinary art and culture, and watch as they create unique and delicious meals that will surely excite your taste buds. Glazed Out in the kitchen with Chef Sean.
Belizean food, how another level. Premiering only on TNC 10.
The red flag with a black center is flying over Belize tonight as the country is under a hurricane watch. The westward moving tropical wave that we told you about last night quickly formed into a tropical storm this morning and is forecasted to be a Category 1 storm when it makes landfall on Belize on Thursday. The latest advisory from the NEMO and National Met Services says that at 4:30 p.m. this evening, T.S. Nana was located about 590 miles east of Belize City. It is moving along its westerly path at 18 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. It is expected to continue on its path to Belize's coast. And the experts are estimating that it will make landfall with maximum winds between 75 and 95 miles per hour. Early forecast models were predicting that it would become a tropical depression, but the storm has become stronger, more organized than anticipated. Here's what the Deputy Chief Meteorologist told us this evening in a virtual press briefing.
The system is located within, of course, over relatively warm sea surface temperatures between 29 and 30 degrees Celsius. We also mentioned that the system is within an environment of very low wind shear, vertical wind shear. So that is one factor that also favored the system, and also moisture. What was preventing the system from developing was the fast forward speed, and that was one of the factors that was inhibiting development. So it looked like 3-1, and the tree won out. And the system became a tropical storm, as you mentioned this morning. And the latest position has it at 16.8 north, 79.3 west, which is about 590 miles east of Belize City. The system is moving to the west at about 18 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. We are looking at the system moving westward for the next 24 to 48 hours. And there's the possibility of it intensifying to a Category 1 hurricane before making landfall somewhere on Belize, possible Thursday morning. If you look at the current projection and the cone of uncertainty, as we refer to it, it extends from northern Belize to just about the border with Guatemala in the south. So basically, it has the entire country encompassed in that cone. So that means that the highest chance of it affecting anywhere is on the coastline of Belize. there's always some minimal probability of it going outside that cone. But the probability, the highest probability is that it makes landfall on the coast of Belize. Now, where will that center come ashore? We cannot say at the moment. And that is the reason why there's a tropical storm watch for the entire coast of Belize, from northern Belize to southern Belize. And I will mention now that it is very likely that later this evening, that will be upgraded to a tropical storm warning with possible hurricane watches for the coastline of the country. We will continue to see fair weather tonight and most of tomorrow. We are expecting conditions to start deteriorating across the country tomorrow, late tomorrow evening into tomorrow night, starting with bands of showers and thunderstorms coming across. After that, whenever the system approaches land and is very near, and wherever that center makes landfall, that area will be looking out Category 1 hurricane winds, ranging between 74 and 95 miles per hour. There's a possibility of storm surge. I wouldn't give a specific value yet. We have to wait and see as it gets nearer, but there's definitely going to be storm surge north of that center, and rainfall of about 4 to 6 inches also, which could lead to coastal flooding along with the storm surge. And those residents inland living along streams and rivers will also see those rivers flooding from the rainfall. Hurricane Earl, which is the last hurricane to affect Belize, was 2016. And I think it's fresh in most of our minds. So structures that doesn't have strong roofing can see their roof torn off. People, if you have trees and so on, those could be uprooted and fall upon your house and damage it as well. And of course, the storm surge, as I mentioned before, that we saw in Earl. So those factors, that level of damage is what you can expect from a Category 1 hurricane.
NEMO's 4:30 p.m. advisory also states, quote, NEMO hereby declares a hurricane watch for Belize. One red flag with a black center. Belize City and the Keys are under a tropical storm warning. The warning is declared as a system path puts those areas under direct threat. The next declaration is expected to be a hurricane warning. 2 red flags with a black center flown one above the other, which means it is imminent that the hurricane will make landfall on Belize within 24 hours, end quote. You can see the entire advisory on our 7 News Belize Facebook page. And for San Pedranos, the appearance of Tropical Storm Nana means that they just can't catch a break. This morning at a minute after midnight, the island was finally released from a 24-day lockdown, which started on August 7th. It was announced late last night that San Pedro would no longer be under special quarantine. The entire country now falls under the same state of emergency provisions. That means 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew, the closure of bars, nightclubs and rum shops, as well as the usual social distancing and mask requirements. So, after 24 days of no one coming off the island, San Pedranos were free to move. And from our colleague Dion Vanson at the San Pedro Sun, we have video of the first boat out.
At about 20 to 12, this San Pedro Belize Express vessel throttled off towards the city. It was the first passenger-loaded water taxi to leave San Pedro since August 7th. But before they left, everyone had to have their temperatures checked. And lining up for the boat meant a long queue for screening. That's because checks have to be made to make sure none of these passengers are on the list of COVID-infected persons.
But we are here to ensure that we check the list. We cross-check the list to make sure that none of these people leave. So when they get here, the process at this moment is for them to get their temperature checked before they even purchase their ticket. And then once the manifest is made, then we go through the manifest and decide if everybody can go or not. Yeah, we have a team out here. We will be making sure that people that are sick, having fever and respiratory symptoms, we're making sure people that are under quarantine or are positive, or people that are awaiting results, that none of those people get on the boat. So that's a screening process that we're going through. We asked the boat company to alter their manifest to include vital information that will help us with contact tracing should one of these people come out positive. So that will include their destination address, including their phone numbers and other things.
And from San Pedro right to Belize City, The water taxis arrived around 1. There were no extra medical checks, nor any red tape.
The only thing that scares me is that they put Kikaka and San Pedro together, and it's really scary because then you don't know who have what, and then you don't know who you sit alongside of, who have what. So it's very scary.
And these San Pedranos move through the terminal free to go about their business. But when they head back to San Pedro, they may have to be checked.
When they come here, will they be screened or checked again?
We're looking into it, and I think at the very least we might at least do temperature checks when they arrive here.
And just as life on the island was trying to get back to normal, now the question is about the hurricane threat bearing down on Belize.
Well, I just made it come out because then they said that the storm will come. And I know like when it do come in, when it is Thursday, we can't do nothing about it, or can't go nowhere, or the waves choppy, and then the boat cannot run, or we can't. So I literally come in now because then I feel like this is the best thing to do.
Where are you going right now? To your family here in Belize City? Or what are you going to do?
So I am going to Crystal Ray for a
So now Nemo is in full-blown hurricane preparation mode. Last night they were expecting a tropical depression or a tropical storm, but tonight it's Tropical Storm Nana. This morning's Nemo advisory warned that Nana is expected to make landfall on Belize on Thursday around midday as a hurricane. The late advisory says, quote, residents across the country should be prepared for Category 1 hurricane force winds between 74 and 95 miles per hour. The system could also produce rainfall of up to 4 to 6 inches across the country, which could lead to flash flooding and possible landslides. Associated heavy rains can cause flooding, wash out roads, bridges, culverts. Winds can damage homes, trees, branches, power lines and poles. Loose items can be blown about, and storm surge can cause flooding, drowning and beach vessels not securely moored. The public must monitor the progress of the system, but do not panic, end quote. Yesterday, Nemo's national coordinator said this is the time to think about your family's emergency plan.
The general public has to look at what is it I need to do to save my life? Where will I shelter? What are the basic things that I can afford to take? We know of the economic hardship and suffering that people are going through. So we are not expecting the majority of people who go to shelters bringing any sort of supplies. That onus will be on us to be able to assist with the life-saving survival type accessories or amenities that people will need. It will not be perfect, Jules. You know, I would never, as a realist and a practitioner, mislead the public to say that, oh, Nemo has everything in place and it will run very smooth. It will not. It will run with challenges, and we will then have to be flexible within our experience and training and the COVID-19 scenario to deliver the services as best as we can.
Nemo's advisory stresses that a price freeze is in effect and that public and private essential agencies and utility companies must release their employees when they need to seek shelter for their safety. Additionally, all emergency operations center countrywide were activated today at 4 p.m. And for the residents of the Belize district, the memory of the last Category 1 hurricane is fresh enough. That was Hurricane Earl in 2016, and it did major damage primarily in Belize City and Ladyville. While the storm was a Category 1, it sat over the city for hours and left a wide swath of damage. Again, the latest Nemo advisory says, quote, residents across the country should be prepared for Category 1 hurricane force winds between 74 and 95 miles per hour. The system could also produce rainfall of up to 4 to 6 inches across the country, which could lead to flash flooding and possible landslides. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll tell you about 2 killings, one last night in Cayo and the other this afternoon in Orange Walk Town. Don't go away.
Electricity is an essential part of our daily lives. We use lights and household appliances every day. Therefore, we must ensure our homes are wired properly. At Benny's, we have certified wires with the right gauges and insulation. BEL certified meter sockets. authentic GE and Square D panel boxes and breakers, which protect your electrical system from being overloaded. When wiring your home, avoid imitation brands which can be very dangerous. Give yourself and your family peace of mind using genuine electrical products available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Price Premier Products Limited has been proudly serving Belize for many years. We aim to serve you better and are pleased to announce our new office with convenient parking at number 1728 Chetamal Street, Belize City. Here, you will find our Price Smart outlet opening on weekdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Be impressed with the variety of quality branded products such as Pampers, Always, Tide and Downy, Del Monte, DAC, Vigo and Alessi, Duracell, Crystal Farm Cheese, Linda Powdered Milk, Great Lakes Pork Tails, Ground Coffee, Authentic Gillette for men and women. We distribute many of the world's top and finest brands to supermarkets and stores nationwide. For authentic brands and quality products, visit us today. Price Premier Products Limited, importer and distributor of fine quality products.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Rowe Group company.
Now is the time to sign up for the best postpaid plans in the country because Digi has doubled the data in all their plans. Now you can get even more done, connect even more, stream even more, create even more, and share even more. All on the fastest mobile network that gives you the most coverage nationwide. Now is the time to go postpaid with plans starting as low as $49 monthly. Shared plans are also available, all with unlimited talk and text. So don't wait. Hurry over to your nearest Digi store to sign up today. Enjoy double the data in all postpaid plans only with Digi.
Bellykin got your back. What do you mean? Brother, when you buy a 6-pack of Bellykin beer, Bellykin Stout or Bellykin Light, you could enter for winning a Bellykin's weekly drawings. What are the prizes? Over 10,000 in a weekly prizes, including Bellykin beer, Bellykin bar tabs, and cash. With your purchase on a 6-pack, scan the QR code or visit bellykin.com/win to enter your unique 6-pack ID. But make sure you keep your 6-pack cartons for proof of purchase.
Boy, Bellykin really got to back with the purchase at every 6-pack.
Bellykin, the beer of Belize.
Congratulations to our Bellykin Got Your Back winners to date. Continue purchasing your 6-packs and entering your codes for a chance to win over $10,000 in weekly prizes because Bellykin got your back.
Bellykin, the beer of Belize.
Joshua Jordan V.S. Tonight, a family is in mourning for the head of their home shot and killed during curfew hours. But was it another territorial spate between drug dealers in the West? Or just a random hit against a mechanic and family man? Cherise Halsal headed to San Ignacio this morning to look for answers in the murder of Joshua V.S. and the brutal shooting of Anthony Seol.
Shots rang out in the quiet neighborhood of Trenchtown, San Ignacio last night. And when the gunfire ceased, 28-year-old Joshua V.S. was dead, and his neighbor, 21-year-old Anthony Seol, lay gravely injured. This morning, V.S.'s common-law wife told us how shockingly and suddenly violence was visited on her home.
Like 9:15, so I hear somebody come and he said, "Why, Jay? And he never answered. But when they knocked the door one time, he get up from the bed and I tell him, "Where you going?" Then I said, "I don't pass curfew hours." And then he never answered me. So he just continue walk out from the room and he come and I hear when he opened the latch from the door. And when I hear, all I hear, he said, "Where going on, boy?" And then I hear the gunshots. I hear like 4, one behind the other. And that when I come out from my room and I made a run out, and when I made a run out, I hear more gunshots and I may think that then they shoot more towards the house, right? So I just reverse back and I gone down on the ground and my kid then tell me, "Mom," and then I tell him, "Just hide under the bed." And like it happened so fast that when I hear that the gunshots me over, I get up and I peep. And when I peep, the door me slightly open and I just see one shadow pass. I couldn't recognize nobody, nothing. So all I do is jump over my husband's body and I pull the door and I lock it because I'm afraid make them come back.
And that's how Cindy Canche found herself locked inside her home, ducking for cover between her front door and the body of the man she loved, powerless to protect their children.
When I turn and I watch him, I see he never made the breathe anymore. So all I miss is that the blood come out from his head. And then I hear my dogs in the bark, then gone behind the persons way in the bush. And when I hear that the dogs in the bark fire, I open back my door and I holler for the girl. I tell her, "Lex, call the police." I tell her like that. And she just scream and she tell me, "I can't." So they shot them 22. So, and she started to scream for help. And then I see one neighbor come out and I tell her, "Please call the police." So I lock my door again and I grab my phone and I call 911. And I tell them, "Just kill my husband." And they ask me where. So I give them the direction and everything. And when the police come.
They were still on the ground this morning, investigating and combing for bullet casings. And while they've yet to arrive at any conclusions, theories are starting to take shape.
What police know is that 2 Hispanic males wearing masks and peak caps entered the location and then shouted for Mr. V.S. And on their way out, they entered the home of Mr. Seol where they fired several shots, injuring him. He is in a stable condition at the Western Regional Hospital. At this time, we are following several leads in relation to this investigation.
Sir, what's the information as far as drug turf wars that have occurred in the Cayo district? We've observed many of them before. Is this an assassination in just another one?
We will have to see where the investigation goes. However, also during the police's examination at the scene, a black plastic bag was found clutched in the deceased's hand that had in some loose cannabis. And he is known to the police, as several searches have been done on his home. I believe sometime around March or April of this year, he was charged for drug possession by the police.
Is the neighbor known to the police?
At this point in time, no.
But V.S.'s partner doesn't believe his killing to be related to the drug trade and says the attack upon her family came as a complete shock.
Last year around this time, there were some targeted killings
mainly in Santa Elena, in which, families were targeted. Those were people fighting over drug turf. Is this anything similar?
I don't think so.
So this was a complete shock last night. There was no threat. There was
threat. Nothing. We never had one threat. We never, nobody come here, threaten. No, nothing.
Her main concern now is for her children. She told us that this is the second death that her eldest child has witnessed firsthand, and that last night, by the time she got to comfort the youngest, he was crouched at the foot of the bed with his hands clasped in prayer.
Well, they were in shock. They were in shock because, for a kid to see a body laying there bleeding and thing, it's a shock for them. It's very hard. They couldn't even sleep the whole night, and they're still awake. They can't sleep. They say it's terrifying for them. He says that when he closes his eyes, he sees the image.
Cherise Halto, 7 News.
The first death witnessed by Via's eldest child was that of his grandmother, who 4 years ago was killed by a swarm of bees while picking him up from school. Cayo police have some leads that they are following up in this murder and attempted murder. And in the north, there was another violent death, this time in the stabbing of 22-year-old Joaquin Perez, another young man who was called out of his house, leading to his death. Happened at around 12:45 this afternoon when Perez was called out and ended up chasing a man on a bicycle while wielding a machete. That led to the other man jumping off his bike to defend himself, which is when Perez was stabbed as many as 3 times. The other man is believed to have had a knife. He ran home but collapsed on the threshold. The head of the National Crimes Investigations told us more.
Sometime shortly after 1 p.m. this afternoon, Orange Walk police were called to the Northern Regional Hospital, where they observed one Joaquin Perez, 22 years, of a Royal Palm Street, Orange Walk town, suffering from apparent stab wounds. He later succumbed to those injuries whilst undergoing treatment. What the police know so far is that Perez seemingly was involved in a fight along with 2 other male persons on the said Royal Palm Street, and during that process he was stabbed by one of those persons, but he managed to make his way home, where he was then transported to the Northern Regional Hospital by family members. The police are out there on the scene. At this point in time, none of those suspects are in custody.
One suspect who is known to police is currently being sought in connection to this death investigation. And while police are seeking that suspect in Orange Walk, a robber is on the loose in San Pedro, and that's after an evening robbery of the island's MoneyGram office on the very same day the lockdown was lifted. Eyewitnesses say that around 4:30 p.m. a masked man held up the office's cashier with a gun. The robber was later seen running west towards the lagoon side. Police have no suspects. The latest COVID-19 figures were released a few hours ago, and they show 44 positive tests coming out of a batch of 317 samples. Orange Walk District has full half of those positives, with 22 positives, 4 each in Orange Walk Town, San Felipe and San Jose, 2 each in San Esteban and Trial Farm, 1 each in Santa Marta, Guinea Grass, Trinidad and Nuevo San Juan, and 2 from the repatriation process. 4 of the new cases are in the Cayo district, with 2 in San Ignacio, 1 in Belmopan, and 1 in San Jose Socots. There are in Belize, that is, there is 8 in the Belize district, 4 of them in San Pedro, and 3 in Belize City, and 1 in Cape Cocker. Corazon has 10 new cases, 4 in Shaibe, 4 in Libertad, 1 in Concepcion, and 1 in Corazon Town. There are 40 recovered cases, bringing the active cases down to 824. Belize has now registered a total of 1,050 cases since March. And a weekly review of the cases by district show 120 cases in Corazon, 254 in San Pedro Town, 183 in the Belize district excluding San Pedro, 28 in the Stan Creek district, 6 in the Toledo district, 102 in the Cayo district, and 357 in the Orange Walk district, which has the most cases in the country. We'll take a break now. When we come back, you will hear the legend of the Lighthouse man who stood up to a Guatemalan president. Don't go away.
Electricity is an essential part of our daily lives. We use lights and household appliances every day. Therefore, we must ensure our homes are wired properly. At Benny's, we have certified wires with the right gauges and insulation. BEL certified meter sockets, authentic GE and Square D panel boxes and breakers, which protect your electrical system from being overloaded. When wiring your home, avoid imitation brands which can be very dangerous. Give yourself and your family peace of mind using genuine electrical products available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Meals are better at home with Coca-Cola. Collect 2 golden caps of Coca-Cola, Fanta, or Sprite 1.5 liter with the word WIN and 1 golden cap with the word microwave or 1 with the word Oster, and you can win a microwave oven or Oster pots and pans. You'll also receive a free kitchen utensil with all 1.5 liter twin pack purchases. You can collect all 4 utensils. Visit www.coca-cola.com.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Road Group company.
Contraband is the illegal importation of goods such as alcohol, tobacco, foods, and parts. Apart from breaking the law, smugglers are also now endangering the health of all Belizeans. They risk bringing coronavirus into Belize with their contraband. To keep COVID-19 out of Belize, everyone entering the country is screened and quarantined. But contraband smugglers are not using legal entry points and are bypassing all safety measures. And these same smugglers are moving among the population. They could be carrying the virus. By coming into the country illegally, they could cause outbreaks of COVID-19. Buying or smuggling contraband is putting yourself, your family, and the entire country at risk. Report smuggling. For SMART, call 0800-JUMPERS or 0800-BORDERS. For Digi, 0800-SAVE-BZE. This message is brought to you by the Belize Police Department and the Belize Bank.
Let's all be safe during the rainy season. Belize Electricity Limited reminds you that heavy rains can cause flooding in your neighborhood and on roads. Avoid driving or walking in flooded areas, which can have hidden dangers such as debris and fallen power lines. Belize Electricity Limited cares about your safety. Please stay safe.
Preferably before the hurricane season, stock your home with supplies. At a minimum, these should include several clean containers for water, enough to hold 1 gallon of water per person per day for at least 3 days. This should be enough for drinking and sanitation. You should also have water purifying supplies on hand, such as chlorine or iodine tablets, or unscented ordinary household chlorine bleach, a first aid kit and manual, prescription medicines and special medical supplies, baby food and prepared formula, diapers and other baby supplies, a 3 to 5 day supply of non-perishable food, flashlights and extra batteries, sleeping bags and extra blankets, personal hygiene supplies such as soap, toothpaste, and sanitary napkins. Baby wipes are useful for the entire family in cases where bathing facilities are not available. And emergency kit for your car with food, flares, booster cables, maps, tools, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, and sleeping bags. Adzalat Audio and Video Production Company wants you and your family to be safe this hurricane season. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Brought to you by Adzalat Audio and Video Production Company and this station.
This September will be a virtual one to remember as the National Celebrations Commission and the Minister of Education, Youth, Sports and Culture presents the Night Brown. Wednesday, September 9th, 8 p.m. until live on your favorite local television station and the Niche Facebook page. The Mighty Lord Raven, Mohobab Flores, Chico Ramos, Coconut Boy, Lucio and the New Generation Band, Miley Martinez, Kenny Gladden and the New Creation Band, and the Sweet Pain Band will got you rocking, hosted by DJ Dalla. So get those tent outfit ready, prepare your food and drinks as we will be partying in front of our television sets for the Night Brown. Wednesday, September 9th at 8 p.m. Sponsored by
The official hurricane season for the Atlantic Basin, the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico is from June 1st to November 30th. The peak of the season is from mid-August to late October. However, the hurricanes can occur anytime in the hurricane season. These are basic steps you can take to prepare for the hurricane season. Learn about your community's emergency plans, warning signals, and evacuation routes. Know where to find emergency shelters. Inform local authorities about anyone with special needs, such as the elderly or bedridden or anyone with a disability. Don't wait until the hurricane is on its way. Make plans to ensure your pet's safety. Emergency shelters cannot accept pets due to safety and sanitation requirements. Locate and secure your important documents. Post emergency phone numbers at every phone and program these into your cell phones. Make sure you have a battery-powered radio on hand for up-to-the-minute reports on weather and location-specific storm watches and warnings. Be prepared to turn off electrical power and gas in case you are asked to evacuate. Adzalat Audio and Video Production Company wants you and your family to be safe this hurricane season. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Brought to you by Adzalat Audio and Video Production Company and this station.
And COVID-19 has shut down yet another department. This time it's the always congested Vital Statistics Unit. A press release this morning advised the public of the closure of the office at Barrack Road and Queen Street for purposes of sanitization. It also advised of the suspension of all of the unit's services. It did not say if a member of staff has been infected. A tentative reopening has been set for September 7th, 2020. The life of a lighthouse man can be a pretty solitary one, but in his decades on the job at Half Moon Key, English Key and Hunting Key, Thomas Lester Garbutt did it with uncommon distinction. And in his honor, on Saturday, the lighthouse at Hunting Key was renamed to the Thomas Lester Garbutt Lighthouse. He was the lighthouse keeper at Hunting Key from 1961 up until his death in 2001. But not just the man in the tower. The Minister of National Security says he also acted as Belize's first line of defense, given the Key's proximity to Guatemalan territory. And the story goes that in 1986, he stood up to the then president of Guatemala, who had entered Belizean waters on a yacht for a vacation. At the dedication of the monument on Saturday, the Minister of National Security told the story of the lighthouse man who chased away a president in the Queen's name.
He was a lighthouse keeper, a sailor, a soldier, a brave and humble warrior, but his duties were not only restricted to that of a lighthouse. He performed the functions of a customs officer, immigration officer, police officer, sailor, and soldier. He was our first line of defense against any would-be adversary out here. As the story goes, and the legend is, it was on one occasion that the then Guatemalan president, Benicio Cerezo, visited the Zapadilla Ranges in his yacht and was anchored off the reef. Uncle S, who had been monitoring his arrival, sailed forth in his paddling dory, armed with his famous 303 Lee Enfield bolt-action rifle, and bravely informed the president that he was committing an offense against Her Majesty by entering Belizean waters illegally. He then proceeded to order the president to leave. The president complied and ordered his crew to weigh anchors, and they left.
And while it's a remarkable story, there's more than a tinge of sadness to it. Later, Garbutt's son Charles, also a lighthouse keeper at English Key, went missing with his wife and their 3 children in December of 1998. They have never been found, and there is also a plaque on the island commemorating their names.
Loving memory of the Garbutt family. Charles Garbutt, Kimberly Garbutt, Marvick Garbutt, Charles Garbutt Jr., Stephanie Garbutt, who tragically lost their lives at seas on Wednesday, 16th December, 1998. this block will stay here along with this other block. And we search like hell. We look all over. English key, Belize City, key to key. And nothing.
Back in June, we took you to mile 38 on the George Price Highway, where a culvert had been washed away, splitting the highway in two. Since then, engineers have built a makeshift crossing that's been the sole one-lane access road to the west. It's a delicate situation in desperate need of an upgrade, and just in time for what could be flood waters this weekend and storm shelter seekers heading west. It's finally getting one. This afternoon, in a press release, the Ministry of Works advised the public of its schedule to widen the access road, making it a two-lane crossing. These works began today and will be carried on through to tomorrow. Motorists are asked to exercise caution and bear patience. Every year on August 1st, many of the nations which were former European colonies observe this day as Emancipation Day. It is done to commemorate the emancipation of the enslaved people of African descent from their European colonizers. Here in Belize, like other former British colonies, slavery was a reality. So, to remember the social and cultural ills that come with that heritage, the UBAD Educational Foundation and the Image Factory Art Foundation invited a locally respected historian and UB lecturer to host a community talk on the Zoom online platform. That virtual community talk was called Free Your Mind, and this historian was able to fully present a Belizean perspective of slavery and how it has fueled racism that still exists in this country today. The organizers felt that the historian's Belizean take on slavery and racism was such an important lesson that they produced an ebook version of the Free Your Mind talk. That ebook was officially launched today, and we spoke with Yasser Musa, the director of the Image Factory Art Foundation. Here's how he explained via video conference why he is hoping that Belizeans will take advantage of this publication, which is absolutely free.
First of all, we are very excited, the Image Factory Art Foundation, in collaboration with the UBAD Educational Foundation, to be able to release this ebook called Free Your Mind. It's a 23-page book that is really a kind of transcript of a community talk that was delivered by Dr. Andofe Iyo, better known as Andofe Joe Iyo, former University of Belize lecturer. He gave this presentation as a Zoom talk. It was open to the public, and the significance of it is that it was done on the 1st of August 2020, exactly a month ago, which, as you know, is the acknowledgement of Emancipation Day across the Caribbean. So really, we are very excited now that we're able to put together the transcript of his talk and make it available to the public for them to read in an hour or so or less. Andofe Iyo did a remarkable thing. He was able to compress a lot of big ideas surrounding the issue of the history of the idea of the Black person. So what Iyo did in this very short presentation and now in book form was map out. He's a historian, so you would expect that he did a kind of chronological mapping out from the antiquity days, hundreds of years, almost thousands of years ago, of how Eurocentrism or Europeans define Blackness and developed this idea of racism and hatred, and over the years through economic oppression, through social oppression, right up into modern times. I think for the first time, a person has taken, in this case, Dr. Iyo, his time to map out the same racism development in Belize. So the question now comes, who should read it? Well, I think anybody should read it. Anybody that is interested in seeing how Belize as a multicultural state, how do we recognize, acknowledge, and learn about our racist past and not be sentimental, romantic, or try to cover it up and say, oh, well, Belize not as racist as the state, or that is irrelevant. What is relevant is to recognize the prejudices and racist policies that have been both economic in its origins and also social in the way people were seen. I think it's a huge value to, especially in my context, teachers, people who teach literature, who teach history, who teach social studies, should definitely read this and process it for themselves and have their own thoughts about what Dr. Eo is presenting.
The ebook can be downloaded for free at the Image Factory's website at www.imagefactorybelize.com. 7 News was invited to another official book launch today, and this one was hosted by career educator Beatrice Arnold Jaban. Her publications are called Beacon, an educational perspective on Belize and the Caribbean, volumes 1 and 2. In her literature, she takes a close look at what she thinks are weaknesses in the country's education system and what reforms would address them. Here's a small excerpt of that launch, in which she read a portion of her books for her Zoom audience.
Education is a springboard to enlighten individuals, transform their lives, and enhance their social status. Schools determine the future landscape of political, social, cultural, and economic dimensions. The concept of education is dynamic, must be visionary and futuristic to meet changing global demands. A thriving society must be adaptive. Advances in scientific technological explorations, political reforms, economic challenges, opportunities, and cultural reawakening are ongoing phenomena that a society faces. There is no perfect system, but systems are meant to be progressive and not stagnant. Our educational system is designed to elevate and suppress. Jerome Delisle 2012 states that only the top 25% of any pool of examinees will achieve success on high-stake testing. What happens next to the 75%? The purpose of high-stake testing is ultimately meant to segregate. The statistics on the PSC examination for the past decade shows that only 50% of our student population successfully attain a grade of pass. The Ministry of Education contributes 100% of teachers' salaries at the primary level. However, the outputs are poor. I must reiterate that we have amazing teachers, extraordinary teachers in some of our schools and across the nation of Belize. But there exist too many challenges affecting the homes of our students and, of course, the quality of training teachers are receiving. In addition, teachers were under great scrutiny by the general public, managing authorities, and Ministry of Education. In environments with starved resources, the entire society has a role to play in the success of our greatest assets. Key stakeholders such as parents, corporate entities, and management of schools must invest to properly equip schools with the resources to bring about the desired changes. Furthermore, students also need to be taught to become self-directed. This is a skill that must be emphasized in the formative years.
The book costs $185 and are being sold as a peer by the author. If you are interested in purchasing it, you can find her every day at Pathlight International in Belize City. In August, the National Women's Commission launched its countrywide victims complaint mechanism yesterday. This is a feedback process where victims of gender-based violence or their advocates can register their dissatisfaction whenever they feel that their concerns are not being properly addressed by the government agencies that should be seeking out justice on their behalf. The Women's Commission says that the complaint mechanism allows for the departments to be scrutinized whenever there are situations where the minimum standards of response and care are not being met by the relevant authorities. We spoke via video conference with the program officer about how it will work.
The victims complaint mechanism is put in place for victims of gender-based violence. It really aligns with our National Gender-Based Violence Action Plan, whose goal is really to establish a harmonized coordinating mechanism, which means that all the government organizations that are responsible for services provided to victims of gender-based violence, such as health, the police, human development, women's department, and even the court system, that we work together to ensure that victims receive adequate services. And also we want to decrease gender-based violence. The victims complaint mechanism is put in place where victims of gender-based violence who went to receive services from one of these organizations and felt that they did not receive professional or adequate service, then they can fill out this form and submit it to us so that an investigation can be done. Because if we are talking about adequate services, means that all victims of gender-based violence, after they leave one of these government institutions, they are supposed to feel like, you know, I got somewhere today. Victims are an advocate on their behalf, which means anybody can fill out the form on behalf of a victim with permission, of course, because we do ask for your personal information. And so you can fill out the form. The forms are located in some of these same institutions along with other NGOs throughout the country because it's a countrywide rollout. And so you can fill out the form. We have boxes at strategic places within the districts, or the post office have also agreed to that victims can fill out their form and put it through the post office free of cost. When it reaches us, we will give you a call to let you know, Miss or Sir, we have received your complaint. Give us 2 weeks for the investigation to be conducted, and then we'll get back to you on what has happened. So we want victims to understand that you know, this is not just for sure to say we have something in place, but we want it to work. One of the mechanism we have in place, we have a National Gender and Gender-Based Violence Committee, and so these have high-level officers sit on this committee. And so basically the complaint will go through them to go through the relevant authority within their organizations to ensure that the investigation takes place. And so we hold our members accountable to ensure that it gets done and that we get follow-up and feedback on what has happened.
The September celebrations may be mostly virtual this year, but tonight Belize has once again received generous financial support from the government of Taiwan. This time, the funds are earmarked to develop and broadcast virtual cultural events during the September celebrations. The contribution was handed over to NICH's President Safna Budrani today in a ceremony held at the Embassy of Taiwan. No figure was disclosed, but then, between friends, well, it never is. Belize and Taiwan are currently celebrating their 31st year of close diplomatic ties. Recently, we've reported on the sharp downturn in earnings for cattle exports in the first half of the year, but that should improve with the resumption and regularization of cattle exports to Guatemala earlier this month. Tonight, there are unofficial reports of another breakthrough that Belizean cattle is now being exported to Mexico. We are told 243 head of cattle went in the first export, which would be a breakthrough. Second, since there have long been barriers, that is, to trade that into the northern neighbors, where the demand for beef is high. And as we close tonight, we remind you that Belize is under a hurricane watch because of Tropical Storm Nana, which has us in her sights. The storm is currently 535 miles east of Belize City. Nana was moving to the west at 18 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. Nana is forecasted to continue moving west and to make landfall on Thursday as a Category 1 hurricane. Residents across the country should be prepared for Category 1 hurricane force winds between 74 and 95 miles per hour. The system could also produce rainfall of up to 4 to 6 inches across the country, which could lead to flash flooding and possible landslides. NEMO has declared a hurricane watch for Belize, one red flag with a black center. Belize City and the Keys are under a tropical storm warning. The next declaration is expected to be a hurricane warning, 2 red flag with a black center flown one above the other, which means it is imminent that the hurricane will make landfall on Belize within 24 hours. We'll keep following it. And that's all we have for you for tonight. Thanks for watching. With your news, I'm Indira Craig. Remember that you can see a streaming video of this newscast at 7newsbelize.com, brought to you by Digi for the best postpaid plans in the country. Remember now that the curfew starts at 9 countrywide tonight, so please make sure to stay inside. Also remember to wash your hands and to wear a mask at all times in public, properly of course, and to keep your social distance. Join me back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. and until then, please do stay safe. Have a good night.